Alright, we're going to do another sort of real-time building video. In any case, it's getting a bit late here, but I got time for a good video, I think. So I want to do is actually it's a bit fun to get into the game, but primarily I think it's good we do a robot building tutorial that you can follow along with at home. So the simplicity of this tutorial is going to be covering how I do robotics and how I think it's pretty straightforward to do robotics. So we're going to take a crack at things. The first thing we're going to do is get ourselves a robot torso. I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to left click, placing a block in midair. I'm just going to do a couple non-Alt left clicks, and we're going to just make this, I don't know, 6 blocks tall, now 5 blocks tall for the body. We're just going to make this like a couple blocks thick, and we'll do it a couple blocks wide, I guess. That works. Yeah. Right, so there's our nice stubby torso. We're going to go ahead and change our colors here. I pushed 3, and then Q, and then Alt-A to lower the color by 10s. We're going to do 125 in each field, and then right-click, filling all the blocks in one color at once, at least in the paint mode. We'll go back to Form in 1, and we're going to start hooking up some stuff to make the robot walk. So I have a sort of golden formula I follow for this. I'm getting right to the bulk of it right here. So there's no really exceedingly easy way to do robotics, but if there was ever something close enough, it would probably be what I do here. Let's see. Right. So we're going to do a neutral event of 0. A speed of 2... Oh, I used the wrong kind of hinge. I mean rotator. Well, my bad. Okay, so neutral 0 and speed 200%. Interval of 30, which is just say half a second. Normally takes 1 second to complete a cycle at 100 speed. We can do 2 events for move forward and 2 events for move backward. Now before we do anything else, we're going to copy and paste what we have right here onto the other side of the bot. There's some crazy white hips on the spot, so I'm actually going to right click, and we're going to push B to shove, and we're going to use probably some more middle mouse copy and paste as we go, in case they're just following along manually. So now that we have that, we're going to go and do the left hip, which I do 30 for move forward event 1, minus 60 for event 2, and then I do the complete opposite, say minus 30 and positive 60. Then we're going to invert the events on the other end. We're going to do positive 60 forward, minus 30 backward, minus 60 backward, positive 30 forward. So there's 2 things going on here we should understand. Firstly, in left versus right orientation, which way is forward and backwards is inverted. So we invert the polarity. But if that wasn't already odd enough, we're also going to invert the order of the polarities. So, you know, 30-60 versus 60-30. Just because one leg should be going forward and one leg should be going backward at any given time. So they alternate and trade off. In this case, the left leg should be going forward first, I believe. Now, next we're going to enter ourselves a little bit of leg space here. In fact, I think this will do alright. We're going to add 2 angle type hinges. And that'll be 2 angle type hinges. We're going to be doing the exact same sort of pyramid scheme we had going on just a moment ago. Speed 200, interval 30 after a neutral event for 0. I usually do like a standing posture, folded knees sort of deal for my neutral position, but I'm not going to do that here just for the sake of simplicity. Now we're going to do 2 move forward events, 2 move backward events, and we're going to copy and paste. Now, while it's important to note that pardon me, and it's important to note that in the case of rotators, the polarity inverts when you do opposite sides. Hinges are still oriented top versus down. So in this case, the polarity does not invert for what we're using it for. So we're going to go 0, minus 90, 0, 90. And now we're going to go to the other leg, and we're going to do 0, 90. Oh, sorry, minus 90, 0, 0, 90. Or whatever, minus 90, 0, 90, 0. Just the inverse of 0, minus 90, 0, 90. So now we have that part done, and that covers the main bulk of everything we've got done for the most part. So now we just need to add ankles, and ankles aren't crazy necessary, but I find them really helpful. So once again, we're going with speed 200, interval 30, neutral event of 0. Recurring theme, I'm sure you've caught on by now. We're going to do a move event for 20, and then a move event for 30, and then move event for minus 20, and move event for minus 30. And that'll get for leg 1. That'll get us set for leg 1. And then we're going to invert that. We're going to do 30, 20, minus 30, minus 20. And for the sake of science, we're going to give this dude pretty good sized feet. There we go. Feet deviant are hard to be proud of. Oh. But in any case, this should just give us a wide base to cover the majority of what we need to do. And from there, we're just going to go and flatten this down using the sculpt tool, which is number 2. We push Q to cycle through till we got to the little diamond side of a white square. And we're just going to right click and shove the box away from us in compression instead of toward us, which is what left click would do. And then we have these flat feet all nice and squished up. We have feet. So now we're just going to add some willy-nilly arms. In fact, I'm probably just going to do some fake arms because the arms really don't matter that much. If you want to think of how to do real arms, it's not that big of a deal, dare I say. You have just up and down and left and right. In fact, there's a lot of ways you could cover those exact dimensions you want to turn on. So I would just mess around on your own time so you can figure that out. If not, you could always just put a tank gun on something or move your arms up and down only like a tank gun on its side. And we're just going to add a little head on this guy. Let's do a really good head here. Really lazy head. So let's see, diameter of 22, of 14. Yeah, I just have this. No, that head's atrocious even by my standards. Right. Whoops. There we go. Whoops. I'm just having a bit of a brain cloggage here. There we go. So now we have our wonderful stickman robot. And if you're thinking this works out, you're probably wrong. This helps. This is essentially the fundamentals of what you need to run with a robot. See, here we go. We're running, and we're going to fall on our back now. And it brings us to our next point. Physics in this game are very tricky to get, especially for a combat-ready bot that should be able to move dynamically and quickly, take a hammering and be, aiming and all these other complex tasks. We want to augment our balance on a level that you would need an intelligent mind to generally achieve. So we're going to use what is called a coupler, and this links another coupler of the exact same color to be where this coupler is. And we're going to do what I call black boxing, where we have a very dark colored coupler linked to another dark colored coupler. Now, we're actually going to make a 2-stage black box. This is what I basically always do, and it has treated me very well. Our first stage is we're going to take some boxes, we're going to copy and paste, and we're going to make this 0, 0, 0 transparent. This makes the box invisible when the game starts and not have collision. This is incredibly imperative, as you will soon see. And we're going to make about plus 6 units in height. And then we're going to add plus 8 units of length on top of that. And what I've just created is a completely immortal set of balance for this robot. Like seriously, you probably could not tip this thing over if it was drunk and riding a bull. Okay, maybe you could if you had enough imbalanced thrust. But for the most part, this is really succinct and to the point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create an AG graft next on top of this graft. We're going to do ones on top with neutral plus 100 units. This makes the top want to fall upwards. That's a weird wording. We're going to do on the bottom minus 100, so the bottom wants to rise downwards. No, I'm just kidding. It wants to fall, the top wants to rise. And in day's end, it should orient itself to top to bottom with a fair amount of force. And you can use a lot of AGDs to increase the strength of this process, but I am explicitly doing this on this wide graft, so it creates leverage with the size of the area. So that alone makes it much more energy economic. And seeing how these don't collide and they are invisible, they have no other effect I can discern. So we're going to go do a bit more running with this new robot build and see what we can do. What kind of trouble we can get into. And here we go. See, now we're already walking. This is the magic formula in action. Remember, we were running at all of about 40 kilometers an hour. Actually, we're really just going for a steady jog here. So, yeah, that's not bad considering that's purely a walking force. It's not fast, but we're not done with our black box yet. But wait, there is more. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, I could do a bonus feature actually here for a moment. If you want to build your robot out of heavy material, you'll find your robot falls through the floor. You want to take 2/3 of the robot's weight and apply it as positive anti-gravity units. So in our case, we weigh about 90 weight, so I'm going to take this set to about neutral 60, and that should probably increase its running speed just a little bit. We were doing 35 to 40 earlier. So let's see what we're doing now. We are doing slightly faster, but slightly less consistent. So, not a huge improvement. In the case of a pure walking robot, I would probably not use heavy material for many reasons. And if you do use heavy material, probably don't use nearly as much AG compensation, and instead use ghost legs or multiple legs. If you have the ability to do that comfortably. I'm going to get rid of that. That was kind of a thought I'd mention how I handle weight on combat-ready machines. So now looking at this, we're going to count how many units we are from the ground at our tallest height. By the look of it, it's actually about 9 units of height. So we're going to do minus 500 y-axis to drag this down. So it will mount this part very low. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on that. And we're going to add... actually, we're going to do exactly one better. There we go. So we're going to add 6 on each end. These numbers are kind of arbitrary. I'm kind of admittedly pulling them out of my ass as I go. But you don't need a lot of technicals for how well this works. I mean, it's a pretty sound scientific concept. We use an AG splint to keep it topwards oriented. And we're going to use sleds now to keep it on a very wide base to increase the stability threshold. Because stability is a threshold unless it's sort of a constant measurable unit. So what we're going to do is actually neutral 100, and then move and turn is going to be 0. This makes it so if we do any kind of movement, turning, walking, it's going to let us not stick to the ground. But we're holding still and doing nothing, we will stick to the ground. Now, let's talk about sleds. Sleds have modular traction. In this case, 100 is a lot of traction. Maximum is straight up stuck to something like glue, and 0 is pretty much sliding around on butter. So, the most important property to note is that when sleds are invisible, they still collide, unlike basically all other blocks, which makes them quite ideal for creating an invisible colliding base to support yourself on geometry with. So we're just going to go ahead and fill this in as best we can, and you can tell this is pretty consistent, pretty simple pattern. Now, ideally, this should be about touching the floor, and installing these sleds will also increase your weight tolerance, by the way, in case you were wondering. And we're going to run, and we're going to be a basically immobile force now because we're no longer touching the ground. Which brings me to my next point. We should probably increase the height about 100 units. So that should allow it to only touch sleds against the floor when we're actually running, and it's actually falling to catch us, or we're falling just a little bit through the floor to catch us naturally. So now we're probably walking pretty stable, although probably still not crazy consistently. And we're just kind of walking around. So next thing I'm going to do is to augment the movement. Because in my opinion and in my experience, having thoroughly tested out various types of movements and all that for how it's supposed to fare and all these environments versus the energy regen bonus you get, I would say that the best plan you can do to make yourself all-terrain, to make yourself move faster, to make yourself more controllable, is to add thrusters. Really cheesy, I know, like why are you even building a mech, you might ask. But it's good to know, thanks to these working legs, you will gain a small percentage of speed. Not really noteworthy or worth boasting about, but it's worth noting at the very least. So now we're going to add these little mounts, and we're going to add thrusters. If we can find these, alright, yeah, there they are. We're going to paint them invisible, where they will not collide, to be clear. We're going to add move forward 100, and we're going to do that 3 times. We're going to do on the opposite side, move backward 100. Now that we have that, we should be hauling major ass around the hood. Be like, oh, what up? And, you know, we're already pushing 150. Just look at that. That's beautiful. So, yeah. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to add a bit of turning force. Now, we're going to do turn right mounted on the left sort of areas. And that's because you want to create force pushing in the direction you want to turn. So, mounted left, pushing away from the left, turns right, etc., etc. We're going to invert that, and we're going to do the exact same thing with turn left. Now, there's multiple ways you can do turning, but I find probably the simplest, most reliable way to do it is probably just using thrusters for the most part. I know, once again, cheesy. But look at us right now, we can go strut about, and we're just going to take a jog around the place. And we have plenty powerful turning, and yeah, from here we just want to mount guns. So, yeah, that really covers the basics of a robot. You know, we could probably even add a jetpack on this guy. In fact, let's do that. I want to add a jetpack to this guy as kind of a fun experiment. And, I don't think we need a lot to do that. We're just going to add move upward, and we're going to set it to max, because we just never learn. And then we have our one little jetpack. We can walk around. We can turn away from this guy. We can stop. Still be on balance, back up, still be on balance. You know, we're wobbling a little bit, but due to that wide base, we're not falling over, like it would be on very thin feet. Now we're going to go ahead and run forward and activate our jetpack. So we're just kind of jumping a little bit here. This is pretty funny. Like this little tiny bunny hops. They aren't even helpful. So we're going to go and update that just a little bit. We're going to get ourselves a manly jetpack. Because, reason, do we even need a reason? I think not. And here we go. We're going to have the power to fly into outer space, if I had to guess. Yeah, that's a pretty good sized jump. And, yeah. Now we're jumping through the air, and we're keeping balance. If you have any problems with your bot tipping forward or tipping backward or anything weird like that, what you should try doing is playing with the height on your thruster setup. Which is also to keep your AG graft. Although the AG graft, its own size, makes it non-height sensitive. But let me demonstrate exactly what I mean here. So I'm going to add 500 to my height real quick, and I'm going to try walking. And this is a pretty common folly, especially when you start making your own deal. Look at me, I'm tilting forward. I'm not quite on my face, but I'm tilting forward quite a bit. I'm going to jump forward. And you know, actually our raft is winning this fight. But we could totally tip ourselves over if we did it just right. We go and turn it down on the other hand, where we're already probably favoring downwards in direction. We're probably just going to flop on our face or do a backflip. You know, actually, once again, my raft keeps it stable. This is good science in operation. I can't even beat my own system. That being said, I was working on a mech just earlier past day or two, and I was able to beat the system a couple times on accident. So, that's a good thing to keep in mind if you ever do have problem solving you need to do. And for now, we have a little humanoid stick figure guy. He can walk around the town, and we did it probably it's like 5-10 minutes, not that bad. Heck, I'm probably wrong, it's probably like 12 to 14 minutes, but you know, for Machinecraft time, that's not bad. You get what you put in. I'll also probably be including a link to an image in this video, which will feature a total labeling system for what your input should be on all the parts of the legs once you're punching everything in case you just want to save that, double check it, whatever. There'll be a nice cheat sheet. Until next time, WCCC signing out.